Hey there, Aries Sun, Aries Moon, Aries Rising. Welcome to your full moon eclipse in Taurus video. We are going to, I had to stop because I hadn't shuffled everything back in. And you had gotten the marriage card, and I was like, well, it could be about business, and so this time they decided to clarify it, and they gave me the love card. So we're going to talk about love. But again, not to be ridiculous, but to me, love is also a love of self. So let's just see what happens here. All right, so we're going to take a look using the 9-card spread at the energy around this full moon eclipse that we have happening in Taurus. It is happening on the 28th or the 29th, depending on where you are in the world. So check your time zone calculator in the description box below to figure out where it is for you. And, okay. You have the moon on the bottom. All right. So, I have been sick. That's why there's not been any videos or communication. And so I have a little scratchy throat. My honey and lemon's too hot to drink yet. So we're gonna limp along here and do the best we can for you. All right. So Aries, I want to go ahead and pull. Wow. This is okay. In the challenge, we have the snake. Snake is a couple of things. Because of this one, it looks like the Adam and Eve snake. It could be about knowledge and wisdom. It could be about choices, right? It's kind of like the Lover's card. But it also has this feeling to me of temptation. The snake in Lenormand, though, generally is about this energy of something you don't see coming that kind of can bite you. But here it is, knowledge and wisdom is what's going to bite you. And so I almost feel like it has more to do with information coming through than anything else. And I think there's a need for you to seek some information about something. So let's talk about the overall energy of that moon card. This one is definitely talking about the cyclical nature of things. So this full moon was a new moon on the 22nd of April of 2020. So think back to where you were then. What were you considering around the areas of love in your life? What were the seeds of intention that you planted at that time? What was the thing that you were really like, okay, I want to move in this direction, maybe, and see what happens, because that's what's coming to fruit right now. This is a very explosive eclipse. There's so much happening with this eclipse. You know, I want to just check something real quick, because I think, where's the North Node right now? The North Node is, yeah, so the eclipse, the North Node is conjunct the moon. It's not exact, but it's close enough. It's within, well, it's actually 11 degrees, so not exactly conjunct. It's creating energy toward it, that North Node in your sign. But I do think it's really going to push you to complete that one cycle so you could start to move things forward. Okay. All right, I'm going to get a couple more cards here because I just want to be able to give the best reading I can, considering how I feel. So it'd be easier if I have all the information here. So while I'm getting this last card out, I do want to invite you over to Facebook, where I do the astrology every day. And if you leave a comment in this video to be in the drawing for the free reading that I do every month, I would encourage you to join me on Facebook too, because I also notify over there, and a lot of people seem to find that notification easier than on this channel. So, oh, it's about the story you write about yourself. What is the story that you write? Okay, so we have here, I love this, the butterfly ferrets. Look how freaking cute they are. I had a friend who had ferrets, and she was an Aries. It's really funny. So it says, I am reborn. With the North Node in your sign, and this being about the cycles, where you may have feel like things were not actually moving in your favor in that direction, what is the story you tell yourself? What do you tell yourself about how worthy you are? about things that have happened in the past. So if that happened in the past, so it's going to happen again in the future. Here's an opportunity to let that go, to release those old stories, those old paradigms, those things that no longer serve you, by choosing a new path, a way forward that allows you to create your own story. So here in the key to the situation, we have the letter. And this one says, once upon a midnight dreary, creativity, genius, writing, expression, and artistic flow. And so I think it becomes really important. Look at how, similar they look too. The stories that we tell ourselves become our reality. What we focus our energy on, what we focus our heart's desire on, we focus those thoughts that we let run around and around our heads, those create and manifest. So if we think that our parents didn't love us, so I'm not worthy of love, or that guy or that girl, really messed me up, well, first off, you really need to look at that whole premise in the first place. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but it was an opportunity for you to see where you need to be stronger, where you need to be braver, where you need to be more aware. So there's always a lesson to be learned in it, and it's when we learn those lessons, we run into less of those opportunities and people to learn those lessons, and so it's important to kind of pay attention. That's what the moon talks about, is the cyclical nature of things, that once we recognize something, now we can spiral up higher and we don't have to go through that cycle again. But if we don't recognize it, the lesson comes back to us. And it's confusing because we're like, I thought I figured this out, but then it happens again, because I can see you have some, in the heart space, you have some confusion right now. The action to take is the diary. It's the book, but it's a diary and has the key in it, right? So the key to the situation here is writing and correspondence. And so I think this is about self-reflection, because the moon is also about self-reflection, right? And so maybe taking the time to write your story. I did that. As a matter of fact, I did that during April of 2020. We were locked down, didn't have anything else to do, got out a notebook and started telling my story. I wrote my story of my life. I worked through a lot of things. No one's ever going to see it. No one needs to see it. It doesn't matter. What mattered was it allowed me to get a different perspective on some things, to find the truth. For me, that was taking that bite of the apple. So what's draining your energy is the clock. So whether you feel like time is passing you by, or a lot of time has passed, or it's moving too quickly. There's something about the ticking of the clock. So for some of you, you're like, I'm running out of time to get into the relationship that I want to be in. Maybe you're looking to have a family, and you're like, well, I just don't even know. Or maybe you think you're too old to have a new one, to be reborn again. Maybe you're in a different stage of life than the childbearing stage, but that can be some of the best relationships start then. You have an opportunity to really be friends and not always be constantly working to try to sort through the daily activities and schedules of everybody, but instead kind of be a team. I kind of like it. You're seeking strategy about love. I just don't think cleverness and love go together. Personally, I just don't. That being said, if you are looking for love, either in a relationship or looking for a new relationship, there is a strategy to how you breathe life into it. So, dating apps, I've done them. They're kind of fun. But I think that the best way to meet somebody is living your life doing the things you like to do. Then you will find like-minded people. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. You don't have to go through the whole, is it even safe to meet this person part? There was always the strategy that was involved with, I wanted to get there way before I was supposed to be there. I would back my car in, so the license plate was hidden, right? Picked a public space, a restaurant or something, and then I would wait, though. I wouldn't go in before. I just wanted to be there so that I could hide my car. just because. So, I mean, there was strategy to that. But I do think it feels more like when you I'm getting a phrase that comes from it's the wisdom of the Tao. When you forsake cleverness, people will be authentic with you. And so when you drop the pretense, when you're willing to be open and vulnerable, and you have Chiron moving through your sign right now along with the North Node, and they are inviting you to look at life a little bit differently. And that North Node, it's moving toward Chiron, as Chiron is coming toward the North Node. So they should be meeting up in a few months. And at that point, your willingness to be fresh and new is going to be everything in anything you choose to do. It's particularly for you, Aries. So when you have in the area of resources, and if we're talking about love, this is time, this is the energy you have to put into it. And it might be that you don't really you want love, you want to be in that relationship, but you haven't finished falling in love with yourself yet. You haven't done the healing. This is the card of healing. This is also sometimes the card of sex. So this is the outgoing card. I do think that doing the healing that is necessary to loving yourself opens up doors. It puts you in a different energetic cycle, right? So when we're healthy and we're healed and we're whole, we can engage in a relationship in a vulnerable way, where we can be true and authentic to who we are. And we can also recognize the authenticity of the other person because we're being authentic. When we're being inauthentic, we tend to think everybody else is too. And so the more real we are, there is a danger involved with that, though. I have always been very authentic and open in every relationship, and I think everybody else is, but I keep getting involved with people who are not that way. So there is a cautionary note there to pay attention. But the card of patience. I don't know who this Baba Yaga is. Let's check that out. But this card is also about bringing yourself into balance and being patient. And it's Libra energy, which is like the South Node moving through Libra, allowing you to get there. But I want to see who this is. I don't even know. It's Slavic, okay? The Slavic peoples of Eastern Europe, Baba Yaga, okay, is the old woman of autumn. Wow, in the Northern Hemisphere, that's where we are. Whose spirit lived in the last kernel of the harvested grain. Slavic lore says that the female who ate this kernel would bear a child the following spring. In Russian folklore, Baba Yaga is the forest witch who would travel through the air inside her cauldron. In Old Russia, Baba Yaga means the midwife or sorceress. Some of you are worried that you're not going to have a child. There is simply no rushing here. Everything in nature has a season, but our modern world, we seem to have forgotten that all good things take time to unfold. The situation or relationship you're involved in won't respond to anxious pushing and prodding. Leave things alone for a while. Time and space are needed for this issue to heal, develop, or come to fruition. I want to say that the gift of a journal is that all the questions that you have, all the things that you're concerned about, if you're in a relationship with a partner, you can write them down. And you don't have to talk to them about them. You don't have to ask them the questions because mostly you're going to figure it out with yourself anyway. And after you've had time to work through it and they're working through stuff on their own, then it's the time for the conversation. And by time, I don't mean tomorrow, not usually. You're going to have to allow a cycle to pass. And Scorpio season that we are now in, well, we'll be in on Monday the 23rd. So you may or may not see this before then. But Scorpio season is about going in and doing the deep reflecting. It is the last part of fall. And then we enter the winter season. But Sagittarius is much more optimistic, much more outgoing. And so there is, there's an opportunity there to, I would say, to have fun. Like to let your child out to play. But during Scorpio season, then when we take ourselves in and we nurture and we care for ourselves and reflect on how we've grown, where we've grown, what we'd like to grow next, allowing that season to come through. And then when we get to Sagittarius season, that energy trines yours. That's supportive. This is what is a really key about understanding the astrology and the cycles and the energy in general. And so patience. I want to say give it the whole 28 days. Give it the whole 28 days. The next full moon that we have after this will be a full moon in Gemini. And that comes in really early in Sagittarius season. And so then that would be the time to have conversation, right? Gemini. And so that would be the advice from these cards. And that would be the advice from the astrology. And you could choose to do with it what you want. But it definitely feels like, they're talking here a lot about the ages and the stages and the spiritual knowledge. And you're not being given everything at once because rushing will spoil the end result. So allow some things to simmer. Allow yourself, I think you really want a lot of information. But pushing really hard to get it is going to just push others away at this time because it's Scorpio season. And Scorpios tend to hold their cards very tight to their chest. And they don't really let everybody know everything that's going on. It's not always nefarious. It's oftentimes it's just like everybody's on a need-to-know basis, according to a Scorpio. And if they don't think you need to know, if they're not ready to share, and you pushing to get them to share, they're just going to pull it in tighter. When I was a kid, there was I think it was an Aesop's Fable, or maybe this one was either that, or it might have been a Hans Christian Andersen story. I'm not really sure, but I think it's Hans Christian Andersen about the sun and the wind. The north wind and the sun were trying to see who was stronger, and they wanted to know who. They picked this guy that was walking along, and he had a coat on, but his coat was open, but it wasn't like and he just had his coat on, and he was walking home, and so they made a bet. Who could get that coat off of him? Who could get that coat off of him? And the north wind went first. And the north wind blew, and he blew, and he blew, and the guy had his coat on, and all of a sudden he was like pulling it in tighter. That's what a Scorpio energy will do. When the more the air rushes out, the more the energy floods at it, the more that it wants to take something from it, the tighter it holds. And he's like, he's not giving up that coat. And then the sun came out, and the sun was warm and inviting, and it softened, and the guy is like, this weather is crazy, but he took his coat off. And so there's something about whatever the situation is where you want more information in a relationship to bring things along. It's going to be slow and gentle, like simmering a stew. The longer, like when I make a stew, I cut up all the vegetables, everything, I put everything together, and I might pre-cook it for a couple of hours, and then I stick it in the refrigerator, and then I stick it in the slow cooker in the morning, and so now it's sat all working those juices and seasonings and everything together all overnight, and now it's cooking slow during the day. When I get home, it's so nice to come home to, and it's warm and inviting. And so I think you're being encouraged to create this warm and inviting energy around love. And it starts with loving yourself. So work through your own stories that you have, journal to yourself. Allow yourself in the heart space to get the clarity about what it is that is important to you, what is of value to you, what it is you're really seeking. Allow yourself to do your own personal healing and allow space for your current partner or to allow the universe to bring a new partner in that matches your new energy, right? The I am reborn. Give yourself the space of the Scorpio season to allow the healing and the self-reflection, and I want to say the self-love to really simmer. When you're writing the story, don't focus on the crap. I want you to focus on the things you're really proud of yourself. The reasons why you love yourself. Because you've overcome this, you managed that, you were skillful at doing this, you dominated at that. In the area of resources, you have luck. So think about all the ways that you've been lucky. Because when you focus on the luck and you focus on the love and when you focus on your accomplishments, that is the energy that becomes your solar plexus that you put out. And so then when that sun moves into Sagittarius and it shines that light, that beam of light that trines with your solar energy, then you'll really shine out there. And that's when people will start to open up to you back, right? So I really want to say, don't let how long something seems to be taking be a problem. Look at this as an opportunity to really, really come into your own energy, to really focus on what it is, the story of who you are and how successful you are and how worthy you are, how loving and lovable and loved you are. And if you need a mantra, there's one right there. You could start off every page of your diary with, I am loving, I am lovable, I am loved. Because you are loved. The universe loves you. And hopefully in the next 28 days, you'll be like, no, I love me too. All right, Aries, you guys take really good care of yourselves. Love to see you over on Facebook. Be sure to leave a comment so you're in the drawing for the free reading I do every month. Thanks for subscribing. Make sure you hit the notification bell. The videos on this channel are going to be not as routine as they were before for a number of reasons. There'll be more on that coming up soon. But in the meantime, thank you for all your support, and I will talk to you again soon.